Hello, everyone out there in Facebook land and YouTube land and all around the internet. How you doing tonight? I am going to share out the show so that we can maybe have people join us. That's always nice, when you do a podcast and people actually come and watch. It's a pretty wonderful thing. So we're gonna just share it a little bit and getting my reading light here. Should have probably grabbed it ahead of time, but I got it. I got it. So anyway, let's see. We're gonna grab the phone, which is in my lap, and I'm gonna put on my reading glasses. Try not to poke myself in the eye. So let's do this, and we're gonna discard that post. I don't know how that always happens. I just post things randomly, not intentionally. So then if I go to not my story, but my page, let's see. Oh, that's down here. Go to a page, and then let's see. I think if I go to this one, no, because I don't think I'm on that one. I think I am gonna have to go to the Skeleton Key Network. So, I can't get there that way. Darn. Maybe if I go like this. No, because then I can't share it like I want to. It's on there though. I just got to go back there as myself. So anyway, let's switch that out. Now, if I go to search and hit Skeleton Key, I can probably go in there as me. Skeleton Key Witches. How's everyone doing tonight? How are all the Skeleton Key Witches doing? I haven't heard anything. I know it's winter and everybody's like, not really thrilled, with the weather. Whether you're in the south or you're in the north, it's pretty freaking cold. And yeah, it's just freaking cold. And we about couldn't take it anymore. It's like you keep the fire going and you just pray that soon it will end. So let's see, I'm going to share it. And I'm going to share it in Messenger. I think I can catch a bunch more people that way. Come and watch my show. Write a message. I'd write a message, but okay, here we go. Watch my show. So tonight we're going to talk about Capricorn. It's birthdays, and I want to say it's from late December, like now, and then that goes into January. I think my grandmother was a Capricorn, and I think she was on the 19th. So we're gonna check all that out in just a moment. Let me finish sharing this thing so we can I can be done with that. And oh yes, have to share it to my daughter. She came by to visit today, and her boyfriend Ian is a Capricorn, so I know they'll want to watch that. So that'll be fun. And and it's just send it to them and that one. Just people who might actually watch the show. It's nice if you send out and invitations and people actually respond and come hang out with you. It's nice. And I appreciate all of you that do come and join me for the show. It's just a little crazy show I came up with. I've been going on a year now. Yeah, I think it was after the first of the year. So maybe like around March, it'll be a year. So, but yeah, it was an interesting experience to start this whole podcast journey. And I'm telling you, it's been great. And I really appreciate all of you that watch and tune in. And hey, Andrew. And, you guys are great. And I really You've made it worthwhile. Thanks. And yep, we're gonna do some. I might even. I'll tell you what. I'll do 2 live readings at the end of the show, and I will choose those 2 people based on who subscribed to my YouTube. So if you would like a free reading, go subscribe to my YouTube, and then come back and let me know you did, and I'll get you the one of the 2 readings I'm going to do at the end of the show. So if anybody's interested in that, I'll throw it out there again, a little bit. So if you missed it, you'll be able to have still a chance to win one of those. So yeah, and you guys can then get in on that. Kitchen lights are going off. It's the end of the day, so we're closing down the kitchen. Yeah, you gotta. It gets to a certain point where it's just like, yep, we're closing everything down. There we go. And just send that to a few people and see what's up with people. Anyway, I am going to talk about Capricorns. They're wonderful people. My uncle was also a Capricorn, and I really dig them. And they are very caring people, and they tend to like to take care of people, things like that. So they're a good group, and and oh yeah, and the I'm sorry, I kind of am distracted because some of these names that are coming up on my list are like, wow, I can't believe they're still on my friends list. Oh well, that's good enough, I think. And then if people want to come and join in, they certainly can. So this is gonna be a fun time, and I hope everybody had fun at Christmas. If you had any fun experiences, feel free to comment in the comments in the chat, and let me know what you got for Christmas. There you go. If you if you got anything. I didn't really get anything, but it's okay. It's not about gifts, and I really don't celebrate. I do celebrate Christmas, but it's not so much about Christ in my house. But I'm sure he was a swell guy. I don't mind celebrating his birthday, and I just don't put maybe the religious emphasis on it. It's more of a secular Christmas. So, anyways, I did put up a tree, and it's about this big, but it's good. It's all good, and I think you just have to do whatever feels right for you. Here we go, Capricorn, 22nd of December, so just before Christmas. Hey Heather, how you doing? I'm glad you're here. That's awesome. And then it goes until the 20th of January, which I think my grandmother's birthday was the 19th of January. So yeah, she fell right in there. So she was kind of on the cusp for the for Aquarius, I believe. Or maybe it's Pisces. I can't remember which one falls after. It's either Aquarius or Pisces. It's Aquarius. There you go. So Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces. So anyway, realistic, practical, and hardworking. Most ambitious character in the zodiac. How about that? And then they're depicted as a goat. They call a sea goat, Capricorn. So yeah, which is kind of weird. Because they're actually, I believe, an earth sign, and they're a sea goat. So you'd think they'd be water, but they're not. So yeah, it's interesting. The goat represents patient determination to scale great heights and reach the pinnacle in all their endeavors. And they have lofty goals and the intelligence and diligence to get that. And so I'm hoping that is correct. Hey, Chuck and Greg, how you doing? How's Florida treating you, Chuck? Yeah, it's cold as shit up here, so be glad that you're there. Because, yeah, it's terrible here. Very cold. So then, they're, an earth sign. That's right. They're earth sign. And they are pragmatic and stoical, rooted, which is really a word you could use for any earth sign. They're rooted. And they are grounded, and then there's responsible, structure loving Saturn is the ruling planet. And that gives them a realistic, if slightly cynical, outlook on life. So they expect to work very hard to achieve success and respect others who've set a good example. So that's good. They are self reliant and responsible. Well, my uncle was. My uncle was very responsible. He was the man of the family, and he went out and he was in the service. Then after that, he worked for defense contractors, and he was trying to give his family a good life in which they could travel the world. And he did that, and they got to see a lot of stuff. And they were evacuated from Iran even. And so that's kind of cool that he was a Capricorn. Oh, hair sticking up a little bit. So yeah, that's good. And then it says the humbler your beginnings, the greater your determination to overcome any challenges on the rocky road up the mountain. In dealing with character forming situations so young, you learn to become self-reliant, confident in your ability to succeed. But Saturn probably left you with a few niggly self-esteem issues or a feeling of insecurity, which you'll be determined to mask by flinging yourself into a constant state of refinement and improvement. That was kind of like my Uncle Bert. He did come from very meager beginnings, and he went into the service and he worked real hard. He transferred from the Army to the Air Force, and he ended up as a master sergeant in the Air Force. So he really was this person, this that they're describing. And I find it so interesting that you really can kind of gauge what kind of person they are, or what sort of character traits they may have, how best to deal with them, how best to negotiate with them, all these things. If you know someone's zodiac, you really do have kind of a loose blueprint of what to expect from them, and it's funny, my daughter's an earth sign as well, and I can almost exactly predict, what's going on. Kind of scary, but interesting. And then let's see. Well, it says you're excellent with money, and you're not a frivolous spender, which is great. So just don't get with a frivolous spender, or your money will be frivolously spent anyway. So you don't procrastinate and you don't make excuses. Well, I don't know if that's 100% true. I have to have known some Capricorns that could, postpone things, let's say. We won't say procrastinate, Well, my book is like trying to get away. My divination book. It's a great book. Very nice. I really have used it a lot because it's just a great one. It's got a little bit of everything in it. Okay, so they like to they like to show off money a little bit, just like in the finer things in life, just to let people know they have it. So great show. Oh yeah, nice, Chuck. I'm so glad, and that's awesome. I'm glad you're enjoying it. So yeah, there we go. So then, formal manner and conservative appearance, dressed to impress in dark colors, timeless designer suits, and tasteful accessories. They're usually impeccably presented. And that's kind of my uncle, I have a picture of him in these really loud plaid pants. And it's like, well, it is the 70s, He kind of looks like, Mike Brady. So anyway, but yeah, they're always wanting to do better, especially advancement work or things like that, their sheer knowledge and hard work will eventually propel them to the top of the game. And that it kind of did that for my uncle, for sure. And then either if you find yourself as a CEO, the head of a small company, or a self-made entrepreneur, you are happy being that person, accountable for making all the important or final decisions. So it doesn't bother Capricorns to have to be responsible for things. They are accustomed to that and they can handle it, you know. It's great. And not everyone wishes to be tethered to their job or cares as much about their public persona. And it can easily get lonely up there. You have to make many acquaintances and enjoy a plethora of colleagues and coworkers. So romance may have taken something of a backseat while you concentrated on your career. Well, that kind of sounds like the Virgos. Yeah, Virgos are sort of like that as well. And February 14th. Hey, Heather, that's a cool birthday, man. That's awesome. And that is the Aquarius, isn't it? Because, yeah, that goes to the 19th. So that's cool. I have another friend who's an Aquarius, and he's a cool fella. Nice, cool guy. Anyway, nobody could accuse you of coming across as too gush. Capricorns usually have tight, high rein over their emotions, or are uncomfortable expressing their emotions and have a polished exterior. That was kind of like my uncle. He looked from the outside like he had everything under control. But I kind of think that there were times he really didn't, you know? And as I grow up and see things, you know, for what they are, it's like, yeah, I think he was, you know, had a hard time sometimes, for sure. But yeah, and then they are perfectionists and should guard against becoming caught up in that particular thing. And so they have to, you know, it's like a unhealthy focus kind of. So they have to just like kind of break away from that. It's vitally important you don't get sucked into a negative spiral, as you'll probably dwell on it far too long. So don't dwell. Once it's happened, it happened. Deal with it, you know, as quickly as possible and move on, because you're not going to get satisfaction from everyone. Doesn't happen. Oh, Lord. So they are realists when it comes to love and romance, which is good. And they're one of the most practical earth signs, which I could see that. My uncle was very practical. And then they, at least not until you thoroughly, okay. So the sheep, it says, as one of the most practical earth signs in the zodiac, you're not about to leap up and down, proclaiming your affection from the rooftops. At least not until you thoroughly checked their reputation and background on social media, found out if they have a car and what their future plans involve. That's pretty funny. And yeah, so you know, they don't leap before they look, and that's good. It says it's not that you don't want to be in love, it's just that you're the least likely sign of the zodiac to be blinded by it, which is great. You know, go into love with both eyes open. That's always good. And so then you'll have to work at it a little bit, because your work ethic applies to relationships as well, and you don't expect it to be all sunshine and lollipops all the time. January 14th and February 14th. Wow. Well, that's kind of cool. That is, I think you guys are both Capricorn. And so that would mean that you're both the same sign. And let's see. I'm gonna have to look that up more, Heather. I'm not sure how that fits in. If you guys are the same sign, you know. So it's okay. It says that traditionalist at heart, You'll likely adopt the conventional model for love and romance and apply your high Capricorn standards. You'll choose a stable, all but rather formal, approach with engagement, setting up an impressive home together, and children will be discussed at the appropriate time. My daughter's been told that she, he doesn't necessarily want to have children, and so and she's not sure that she's ever going to do it anyways. I said, so don't get hung up on arguing or discussing things that A, haven't happened yet, B, might never happen, and C, it might be years down the road before that happened. So, why waste a lot of time thinking about it, or God forbid, fighting over it? What do you mean you don't want to have a baby 10 years from now? Like that, like that could really happen. It could really happen. It might not ever happen. And to have an argument about it and to waste all that energy on it is just not, it's not prudent, too much energy wasted on, hypothetical lives. And let's deal with our real lives before we go there. And I have to have wine. So if you have wine and you'd like to drink some, now would be a good time. Oh, that's good. I don't know what kind it is, but it's probably Moscato. I don't taste anything very well anymore, which is really a downfall. It's a bummer. But, I'm trying to train my senses to come back, with strong smelling things, coffee was one of the things. And so I grind beans and then I smell it. It reminds me of this. So when I get really nervous, I put my hands in my armpits and I go like this because I'm really nervous. And then sometimes I go like, and I smell my hands, and I know that's bad. I know it's really bad. I know. I'm really bad. Anyway. Oh, dear God. So then, remember to laugh because they can tend to be a bit serious because they're just, cool, calm, collected kind of people. And so when they're actually far more comfortable, with things being just kind of quiet, and there we go. Probably not a conscious decision if you find them withdrawing and they're more spontaneous emotions. You can't expect your partner to be a psychic, so try not to let your practical side override your humorous, affectionate nature. Saturn may be your ruling planet, may be something of a glass half empty type of ruling planet, but you could do well to remember once the hard work is done, allow yourself to play. So, yeah, that's a good thing. Hey, all right, Bernice, you're Capricorn, December 22nd. Nice. So you're right at the cusp there. That's awesome. You're right at the cusp with Sagittarians. So the most compatible love signs for a Capricorn would be a Cancer, a Scorpio, or a Taurus. And that's my daughter's boyfriend, Ian, is he's a Capricorn and she is a Taurus. And she predicts that they will be this power couple, And I think the potential is definitely there for them to be a power couple. And they really do care for one another. And I think it's just the sweetest darn thing ever. And I'm glad they have each other to care for, because it's a tough world out there. And you kind of need somebody in life, even if it's a friend or, somebody like that you can just, that if you call them and you're seriously in need of something or someone to just be there for you, that they will do it, and it's nice to know that you have people, to count on. And Capricorns are people you can count on. And then the least compatible would be Sagittarius, Aries, or Gemini. And that, I could see that because Geminis are a little bit more like kind of wild and crazy people, and the steady Capricorn would probably go insane. So, and it says Gemini's a faddish. You have serious life goals. They're all chit chat and you don't have time for that. So yeah, that's true. And Sagittarians, you're suspicious of anyone who seems recklessly jolly for no apparent reason. That's funny. And then, a lot of head bumping with the Aquarius. That's not on here, but yeah, I'm sure. Let's see, because Aquarians are strangely an air sign, and it's an earth sign. Capricorn's an earth sign. So, and then okay, work and career. They are business masterminds, in which my uncle definitely was, and they reaching the top is what goat people naturally want to do. They size up challenges in their way with a cool head and learn skills they need to get up to the top of the steep slope. So that's good. They're born to succeed, and I believe that. You don't quibble, and you'll never tell your boss that something can't be done. You'll find a way, even if it means working overtime or learning a whole new skill set. So, and that's great. You should continue your whole entire life learning new skills. Never stop learning. Hey, Merry Christmas to you. Yeah, never stop learning. If you can have the chance to get a new skill set, take it. You really have to just grow like that and be more than you were yesterday, And then the top of the ladder, they'll look to be at the top, but they're firm but fair. And their most compatible colleagues are Gemini, Pisces, and Virgo, which I would find funny. But it says Geminis talk too much and their silly sense of humor is at odds with your dry wit. But they got the sparky ideas and creativity that balance out your practical, methodical approach. So then like Pisces, like you, they prefer to work quietly in the background and you value their vision and imagination. With Virgo, they're practical, organized, conscientious characters and are the zodiac's favorite worker bee. Yeah. They're the worker bee to the detriment of everything else in their lives, Aquarius and Capricorn and Sagittarius. Okay, so yeah, Aquarius and Capricorn probably, but then they, get annoyed with the Sagittarian. So, but their least compatible colleagues would be another Capricorn, a Leo, or an Aquarius. So, they says you feel like you're on the same page with Aquarius, but that's because you're not, and neither is anyone else. Oh, you rarely feel like you're on the same page, but that's because you're not, and neither is anyone else. There you go. The ideal Capricorn careers would be politician, accountant, legal secretary, estate agent, town planner, mortgage advisor, lecturer, entrepreneur, business analyst, or an architect. You're blessed with a robust constitution and have the self-discipline to stick to an exercise regimen that gets you the results you want. Even the most intimidating fitness challenges don't scare you off. As Capricorn is the sign of the goat, climbing will be an obvious activity choice, but any form of exercise where you steadily work towards success works best. So it's just that like slow but steady climb up the hill, And then food and drink, it says they have lots of self-control when it comes to food and nutrition, and they find it easier to adapt to healthy eating habits. So that's good, It's because now is the time, the holidays are coming to a close, and really, really time to focus on those goals of getting back in shape, or, changing your eating habits, things like that. Now is really the time to do it. You want to be the best at whatever you are, whatever you're doing. And Saturn can be a hard taskmaster, but beware that you are not pushing yourself too far with exercise. Overdoing it can put pressure on your bones. Yeah, which can be a weak point. If you're going through a particularly busy or difficult time at work, you might neglect your gym membership or not have time. But getting enough fresh air, natural daylight, and feeling connected with the ground is vital for earth signs. That's true. Grounding is essential for the earth signs. They just feel out of sorts and not right if they don't do it. And, you'll notice that just things feel off, and you don't feel like you are, good ideas are coming to you, and just, you feel kind of foggy and crappy. Go out, take your shoes off, stand on the ground. If you can't do that because it's winter and it's really freaking cold out, then just I have a bunch of rocks that I collected. I'm talking a bunch. And, you can put them on the floor and put your feet in them and just roll them around, anything like that would at least get you connected with the ground again. So that's good. And then sleep is critical. Meditation and relaxation will help you unwind, and be kind to yourself, because, Capricorns strive to be good at what they're doing, the best, and they will, work themselves too hard, or take on things that they really don't have time for, in an effort to, be on top of their game. And so they just have to really be careful about not taking on too much, and making time to rest, making drop my light making time to just, pay attention to their own mental health and their own physical health. And so Capricorns are givers. My uncle was so kind, and he was a very good husband. My aunt had rheumatic fever at one point, and so she had kind of a bad heart, and she sometimes would have trouble walking. And so my uncle, when she was having bad days, would say, "Just stay in bed, my love, and I'll bring you your food." And he would make a tray. He cooked a lot for her, and he'd make a tray and bring it to her in bed and sit with her. And he was just a very kind man and a very good husband, very loving and very loyal and very caring. And so that's what I could say about Capricorns. And so if you are, looking to have a relationship with one, I would kind of pay attention to whether or not our signs are compatible. I think it's best not to try and force it and say, that this person is it. You have to kind of just work with the universe on things, because sometimes you don't know, you haven't you don't know them enough to be able to say that sometimes, if you've just met. And so, like, even though the shoe looks super pretty, it's a half a size too small. Okay. And your feet will never be comfortable in them. You will always hate yourself for not holding out for the best shoe, the one that really fit. And you'll never know, because, you already got a pair on your feet. So how are you going to know that the next pair would have been the most comfortable, stupid, great looking pair of shoes you ever had? So if something's, don't ever try and force things. I guess that's my good advice for the day is, if it's meant to be, it'll be. And if it's not, don't try and force your foot into that shoe. So anyway, next, I came across something really interesting today. I was getting stuff out for Meredith to take home, because I have a lot of family stuff, and I was getting, pictures and things, and I had some jewelry, and I had pictures that went with it, because they were wearing the jewelry in the pictures. And well, there you go. Bernice is very reserved. And I think most Capricorns are. They're not the exuberant people that Libras are, So, or Geminis. Geminis are very exuberant. They're very demonstrative people, and that's good. But yeah, it's not for everyone. And but anyway, I want to tell you, my Aunt Vi, she was my great grandmother's sister. She was a widow, and she married, and her second husband was a very wealthy New York banker. And they had a yacht, a 58-foot yacht that they were on, and it came up missing. And they never found any evidence of what happened to them ever. We say they were lost in the Bermuda Triangle. They could have been. But it says all testimony in yacht disaster is now complete. And it's so I found all these clippings about the whole thing, and it gave the account from witnesses and different people who testified, that they they knew about the case. It says Hope abandoned for 6 on yacht. But the thing is, they never found their bodies. They never found debris, and it's a popular shipping lane. They came out of the mouth of the Cape Fear River, and they were never seen again. That was it. And so it says relatives of seaport people lost in storm. Mrs. Viola Bates Howard and husband drowned while cruising on Florida coast. But see, they can't really say that. I mean, they could after the probate court, but they couldn't really say for sure what happened to them. They never washed up. They didn't find their boat. They didn't find anything. And so it says first, let's see, had lived at Palm Beach, where she owned a beautiful home. She was the only sister of Miss Barilla Bates of Radio Magnesia Springs in Arkansas. She was also a niece of the Reverend S.C. Bates of Bainbridge, Ohio, and of Mrs. William McGovern of Reynolds Station. But that's not true. She had Mrs. Viola Bates. Mrs. Viola Bates Howard. Yeah, no, I think that was her, but Powers was her name. I don't know. I think that might not be an accurate clipping. It makes you wonder how accurate some of that stuff was. The news says Billy is out with his. Oh, this was the last letter from Aunt Vi. And Billy was a young boy that was with them. And it says out with his attorney. Maybe that was her husband. And getting busy partition and more red tape to mess around with. The sister and husband arrive tomorrow. While it is hot here, we have a breeze, and it is more than in Arkansas at the time we left. You can write me West Palm Beach, Florida. Love to you all, and kiss Jack for me as ever, Vi. Went to see the motion picture, blah, blah. God, it's, yeah. So this was just a blurb. I don't even know how it, where the rest of the letter is, but that's interesting, and it was all like just fascinating. It says sister of local people missing. The yacht Vidal, which left Southport, North Carolina, December 18th for Thunderbolt, Georgia, has never been heard from since. On the yacht were 8 persons, including the owner, William H. Powers, his wife, and 3-year-old child. Mrs. Powers is a sister of Mrs. B.F. Hinkle, which was my Aunt Pearl, and then Mrs. M.B. Meredith and W.S. Bates, all living on the Little Rock Highway near Benton. Also, another brother, B.L. Bates, who is a manager of the Radio Magnesia Springs at Hot Springs. Numerous efforts have been made to locate the yacht with its passengers, but to no avail, and it seems as if it is another of those unsolved mysteries of the sea. Yeah, that's weird, isn't it? And I mean, sometimes I think, well, of course she must have drowned, but it's just so bizarre. So it's a mystery of the disappearance of the yacht Vidal of Kingfisher last December. Could not be located here tonight. Mr. Bates was not known by persons questioned tonight and was not listed in the city directory. So, yeah, there's that. But yeah, it's weird. And yacht missing 7 weeks with family. Let's see. Search is underway by Coast Guard vessels for the yacht Vidal with William H. Power of Palm Beach and his family aboard in response to an appeal from relatives of the missing family. Yacht's not been heard of since December 15th when it left Morehead City, North Carolina. So, yeah, isn't that weird? It's just so bizarro. And so then, all these clips are from, when they disappeared. Former local woman thought lost at sea. From Benton, Arkansas, disappearance of a 59-foot pleasure craft involving a former Keokuk woman. Senatorial interest has been aroused in the disappearance. And Senator Caraway of Arkansas has asked Coast Guard officials to make a search for the boat. Local interest in the story centers about the fact that Mrs. William Power, wife of the owner of the boat, which is my Aunt Vi, was a former resident of Keokuk. She was the wife of Frank Ballinger and a sister of Mrs. Burt Meredith, which was my great-grandmother, also a former resident. Here's the story. Let's see. Got my little page here was torn. Okay, here we go. So the yacht, a 59-foot craft carrying 8 persons, including the owner, William Power, and his wife, formerly a Miss Bates of Hot Springs, and 3-year-old child, left Southport, North Carolina, December 15th, bound for Thunderbolt, Georgia. And they never arrived. They never heard from them, despite diligent searches by the Coast Guard. Senator Caraway's aide was listed by B.L. Bates of Hot Springs, brother of Mrs. Power. He wrote that all mail addressed to the Powers at Thunderbolt by their direction had been returned, but that it seemed impossible the yacht could have disappeared without leaving some trace. Senator Caraway communicated with the Coast Guard, which found Vidal left Southport cruising down the Cape Fear River. The name Vidal was painted on the stern, but the name Kingfisher appeared on the ring on the bridge. Senator Caraway has written Governor McLean of North Carolina enlisting his aid in the search. Besides the owner and his family, the yacht had aboard the captain and a crew of 3 and a Negro maid. One theory is that the gasoline tank may have exploded, destroying the yacht and all those on board. But since the craft was running through the inland waterway, it's difficult to understand why no trace of bodies or wreckage has been found during the 3 months since the yacht was last sighted. So, yeah, there was nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing. No debris, nothing floated up anywhere that they could definitively say was a part of the wreckage of the Vidal. So it's just incredible to me. Let's see. And then this is announcements have been received here at the marriage of Mrs. Viola Bates Ballinger and Mr. William Hammond Power. So that was in Hot Springs. And then they took off, I think, for New York. And that's where I think it was docked there in New York because they replaced the engine. So there was some speculation that perhaps they'd had some kind of engine failure, because this was like a new engine in the yacht. So I don't know, but that's that was one, thing they were speculating about. So, sister believes that relatives are living, can't accept theory that all on board craft have lost their lives at sea. That was my Aunt B. Barilla Bates has asked Senator Caraway to induce government to assist in investigation. So my my Aunt B must have had the ear of this senator, and she probably put some pressure on him to help out with this search. Because let's face it, how is she supposed to get the Coast Guard to go out and look for her sister? Back in the day, they probably just didn't even listen to women, honestly. And so she needed somebody with some power and clout that was going to help her. So she really did. She's probably like a bit of a social climber, I think. So then Mrs. Power, who was my Aunt Vi, whose maiden name was Viola Bates, was the widow of Frank Ballinger, brother of Secretary of the Interior Ballinger during the Taft administration. She was married to Ballinger when but 16 years of age. Her sister stated today, Ballinger died several years ago. She met Powers in Florida. Their residences adjoined in Palm Beach. They were married in the city on August 17th last year in Mrs. Bates's apartments. Following the wedding in this city, Mrs. Bates today said, my sister and her husband remain here until September when they left for Philadelphia, where Mr. Power purchased the yacht Kingfisher. It was a 12-cabin craft, 59 feet in length. My sister's maiden name was Viola, so her husband changed the name of the craft to Vidal. And that, of course, accounted for the first confusion of names regarding the boat. So then they went to Philadelphia, it was, and arrived safely in Baltimore, where they visited friends. And from Baltimore, they sailed to Southport, North Carolina, arriving there in December 15th or 16th. I don't know who Mr. Power engaged as captain. W.F. Eden had been the former captain of the Kingfisher. And then I think he quit for some reason. So, but then they had another one. Let's see. Because he didn't consider it safe for some reason. I think it was the engine. Philadelphia was he left due to an argument that ensued between Mr. Power and Captain Eden, the latter desiring to have his wife on board with him, to which Mr. Power would not consent. Oh, I see. He wanted to bring his wife, the captain. Oh, that's funny. So the day was ideal when they left the port. And so that's what has me is the weather was great. Absolutely great. So it wasn't anything due to weather that, caused them to not, make it to their destination. And, yeah, sure. Whatever you like. But yeah, I'm taking pictures. Yeah. Here's my Aunt Vi. I love this set of pictures of my Aunt Vi. She's just just so alive in them, and she looks just like my cousin Nancy. Well, I guess Nancy looks just like my Aunt Vi. So, but yeah, and so she was a character, and I think she was probably, I don't know, 15 or 16 maybe in these pictures right here. And I think this might be let's see, Vi and Frank. This is Frank Ballinger. This was her first husband, Frank Ballinger. So, and my Aunt Vi. And then this must be her when she is a little older. I think this is probably closer to when they disappeared. This was her a few years later, when probably about the time that they disappeared. So, yeah, she was an interesting woman, I would say, and definitely a manifester of, her life. She managed to land herself a rich one because when it was all said and done, the estate that the sister wound up with, because it went to probate court and the sister won. It was only like 3 years after their disappearance. It has to be 7 to have someone, um, declared dead. So, but by going through the probate court and they listened to all the evidence and stuff, they did go ahead and say that they pronounced them dead at that point, and they said that she was allowed to have the money. It was $125,000. Now, in 1926, when this occurred, that was a lot of flipping money. I mean, that was a fortune. That was might as well have been $1 million then, because that was a lot of money for somebody. And so, his sister gained control of the money. And so then, that was it. But what an interesting story. And I've often thought, gee, maybe I'll write a book about it, and just, I'm sure some of it'll be fictitious, conversations and things like that. But still, what an interesting life, and an interesting book that would be. What a story, right? And who isn't curious about, the Bermuda Triangle and what really happens there, and what things are possible that could happen there, So if you guys got any feedback about the Bermuda Triangle, I would definitely listen to that, and love to hear your take on it, and what you think about this story. So I'm glad I could share this with all of you, because it's my family. This is my family history. It's weird and it's wonderful, and to have these newspaper clippings from so long ago. We're talking, these are almost 100 years old now. They actually are 100 years old now. It's incredible to me that I have access to that kind of family history. And it's just, it's been really neat. I just gave Meredith a bunch today of things, like my grandmother, her great grandmother's baby book, stuff like that, and some jewelry that has been, it belonged to my great grandmother, would have been her great grandmother. And I had the pictures for the provenance, and just a lot of stuff. And I went through a lot of stuff with her, papers and things. And I have more, but she's a little overwhelmed. So I just gave her what I could, and we'll talk about the rest later. And I gave her my class ring too. So North Scott class of 84. And so I gave her my North Scott class ring, because she never did get one when she graduated from high school. So yeah, go girl. Wear it in good health. And I love you. And I'm glad I got to visit with you today and share some family history. And I'm glad that I got to share some family history with you guys tonight. So did anybody go sign up and subscribe to my YouTube? Because if you subscribe to my YouTube, I'll give you a card. I'll do a card reading for you. So let me know. I'll give you about just a couple minutes to respond. But yeah, if anybody subscribed to my YouTube, and I can go look you up, I'll do a reading for you this evening. So we'll take a couple minutes. So, and Charles, hello, Charles. It is better late than never. That's awesome. So, and Mort, I don't know that I would go hang out at Angel Tarot. You could if you want, but it's certainly your choice to make. But I'm thinking it might be, just maybe a money-making scheme. Call me crazy. But yeah. Oh, and then one other family thing I thought was kind of interesting is we come from England. Our first ancestor they can trace down from in England was an Edmund Hobart. So, and he was in, let's see, he arrived in this country from Hingham, Norfolk, in England in 1632. So my family's been in America since 1632. That's a long damn time. And we have a little crest here, you can see. So if you are of the Hobart clan and have a similar background, and you're a descendant of Edmund Hobart, look me up. Hit me up on skeletonkey.witches@gmail.com. I can run that banner here real quick. And so if you have questions, if you'd like a private reading, if you wonder if you have any questions about Capricorns or anything else, you can look us up there. So, and since I haven't heard anything about any signers up on my YouTube, I'm going to go ahead and sign off for tonight. And I just got to thank everybody for coming. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate the fact that you come and watch my show every week, and it's great. And I love you guys. And go sign up for my YouTube. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, so it would help me out a lot, and it would be great fun because you can see all my videos and stuff there and all my crazy stuff. And I'm going to try and put some of my Facebook kayaking videos and flood stuff on there too. It's pretty interesting. And so, Capricorns, happy birthday. You guys are great. And to everyone else, have a great week. And I'll be back on Wednesday, I believe, for another edition of Madam After Dark. So, blessed be to everyone and have a great night.